Hey everybody. So if there was one standard that you could learn that had the most amount of devices in it that are used in other standards, that would probably be a really good standard to learn. And I think there is one. I don't know if it's the most important standard to learn, but I gotta tell you, it's got a whole lot of devices. So that standard is one that's very familiar. There will never be another you. I think that if you were going to learn one standard song that had the most bang for the buck as far as what you can learn from a song and then transfer it to other standards, or these ideas, these big ideas, appear in other standards, you're basically maximizing your learning. So here's, there'll never be another you. All right, so that's the melody, and I tried to not stray too far from the melody. Very familiar tune. So now, what are the things that you could learn from this tune? What are the ways that you could play and practice that would be applicable in other tunes? Well, let's start with the first chord. And the lead sheet is next to me. But normally, not normally, a standard key that people like to play this in would be concert E flat. So I'll talk concert pitch. For tenor key, that's F. But the first two measures are the one major chord, E flat major 7. So this is a great opportunity for you to practice, as you play over this tune, practice some enclosures or some chromatic lines, some major scale type lines with some little chromatics. For example, how about this little enclosure? I started that on the end, by the way. What if I started on one? How about this line? Okay, great line. So I'm practicing some enclosure ideas over the major chord. So now what is the enclosure? The enclosure means I'm taking the notes of the chord and enclosing them with some notes that are either a chromatic step away or diatonically away. So this one, 5, sharp 4, 6, 5, 3, flat 3, 4, 3, 1, 7, 2, 1. So there's an enclosure. So you could be practicing enclosures. That's the first idea over this. Now, the tune then goes to a 2-5 to 6 minor. 2-5 to 6 minor. That is a very, very common progression. So, I mean, it appears in the tune My Shining Hour. It appears in the old standard Time After Time. But here it is, and there'll never be another you. So, I go down to C minor, D minor 7 flat 5, G7, C minor. So being able to practice this idea of a minor 7 flat 5 going to the 6 minor. So let me just put a line in there. Great line. I'm starting it on the A flat. Okay, let me play another line. Okay, so these are all things that I would be practicing. I would practice vocabulary, but there's specific vocabulary for a 2 minor 7 flat 5 to 5 7. By the way, the lowercase Roman numerals designate minor. So 2 minor 7 flat 5 to 5 to that 6 minor. So it's a 2 5, basically 1 minor. But in this case, it's going to 6 minor. And again, it appears in so many tunes, this progression. But I would be practicing lines over that. Okay, so that's the second thing. So enclosures over majors, going to the 6 minor chord. How about this? 2 5 to 4. If you looked in measure 7 and 8, you see a B flat minor 7 to E flat 7. Well, we're in the key of E flat. So B flat minor 7 to E flat 7 is going to be a 2 5 to 4. Okay, so again, I get to practice some standard language there. 2 5 to 4, but I'm not going to stop there because I'm going 4 major, A flat major, then to a flat 7 dominant, which is really 4 major to 4 minor. Well, where do I get the 4 minor? Well, that whole melodic minor idea that if I've got a dominant chord, D flat 9, which with a natural 9, go up to the 5th degree, so D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat major, A flat minor. Okay, so let me give you those ideas. Here we go. Enclosure to start. 2 5. Major, minor. Back to the major. Now, here we are, measure 13, F7. Well, what's F7? Well, this is another big idea that appears in so many tunes. 2 dominant. It's a secondary dominant. 2 dominant. The 2 chord is normally, in this case, F minor, but now this is an F7. Well, okay, are there other tunes where we have a 2 dominant? Well, yeah, how about this one? Dominant. That's take the A train. How about this song? How about Girl from Ipanema, right? I just did a video on the B section of that one. There are so many that have this 2 dominant idea, so many standards. So we've already talked about now like 5 different things that just appear in the first half of this tune. Enclosures. You could practice enclosures over major. 2 5 to 6 minor. Again, a lot of standards that do that. And, you know, here's one. My Shining Hour. Here it is. I'm at 6 minor now. So again, very standard progression. And then how about this one? Standard 2 5 1. We go back at the end, measures 15 and 16. 2 5 1 in the key of E flat. Okay, now number 7 is going to appear, and again, a very standard progression. And I made other videos about this, but look in measure 28. We actually have a 2 5, which is really sharp 4, minor 7. Now I normally put a flat 5 there. That A minor 7 would normally be an A minor 7 flat 5. A minor 7. Right? And that's sharp 4 in the key of E flat. That's the tritone away. A minor 7 to D7, which is 7 dominant. And really, that's a 2 5 to 3. It's a 2 5 of 3. What's 3 in the key of E flat? G. A to D is 2 5 of that. That's a very standard progression that I've talked about before, where we have a 2 5 starting on the sharp 4. So let me show you where that is. Here's the second half, starting to measure 17. So there's that 2-5 starting the sharp 4. Now here's the last one. This is 8 things in this tune. Well, what's the 8th thing? The 8th thing appears in the last line, 29-30. And full disclosure, I put a tritone sub in measure 30 to have this happen. But there's a descending by half step major chord or dominant idea. So we've got this E flat major 7. Now I put a D flat instead of the G minor. It's a C7. So we've got this. Again, very, very common progression. Okay, so there are 8 things that are so incredibly common that are used in a lot of standards. So if you learn this one standard, there'll never be another you. And, I mean, imagine this. You took it through all 12 keys. You learned this one standard in all 12 keys. All of the harmonic devices that you would know and be able to transfer into other keys. Now, I didn't even talk about other ways to play over this. Like, for example, the blues scale works great over this tune. I'll show you. Let me play a couple of choruses and I'll do some of this stuff. And I'll try to progressively make it a little more free in that I'm not just playing like licks. But I want to start it that way so you understand I'm just plugging in vocabulary. Okay, so here we go. 1, top, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you get the idea that these devices are so incredibly common, so common. And the more you are able to play with these ideas and understand what they are, the easier it's going to be for you to learn other standards because these devices appear in them. Again, this is the way Larry taught. He would teach me these devices, these harmonic devices or harmonic progressions, or like chord scale relation kind of things that appear in different tunes. And then when I would hear them in other tunes, I would know what the chord progression was. So it was much easier for me to learn tunes. Again, enclosures over majors. 2-5 to 6 minor, super important. 2-5 to 4. And then not just 2-5 to 4, 2-5 to 4 major to 4 minor, which is really flat 7 dominant, the major to minor. super important sound. Then the 2 dominant. Okay, that's F7. Okay, and then this, just 2-5-1. And now this one, the sharp 4 to 7 dominant, which is really a 2-5 of 3, happens all the time, a lot of tunes. And then this ascending half step, major chords are dominant chords, but this idea. Sorry. Okay, so again, if you're going to learn one tune, I think this is why this tune is so popular, because there is so much in it that will transfer to other stuff. All right. I'm always about like trying to figure out, as a coach, trying to figure out multiple skill drills so that you're not just doing one thing, but you're training multiple things at once. Learning this tune is exactly that. You're training yourself in multiple ideas all at one time. All right, so there's my encouragement. Go learn There'll Never Be Another You and learn it in all 12 keys, because all of these things will transfer to multiple tunes. All right, stay well.